Hello, everyone. This is Dan, and I just wanted to make some comments about what has transpired in this week of our 2016 general election. Try to have different perspectives here than what you might be seeing on television or even online in some ways. It's food for thought. Do the Reader's Digest version. In other words, try to make the short of the long of it. And obviously, the 45th President of the United States is Donald Trump. A lot of people are confused and they're expressing it in different ways. Some people are getting together to cry. From what I understand, some people are out in the streets, as we've seen from live streams. A few here and there are being um, vandals and rioting, but all in all, most of the people protesting seem to be peaceful. I'll have some comments about that as well. First, I want to talk about the actual election outcome, though, and understanding that the Electoral College is based on giving states as many voters in the Electoral College system in a rural area as they would, let's say, in a bigger city, based on the number of people in Congress. It's a little bit complicated, but it was designed by the Founding Fathers to be more fair to people in rural areas when there's so many people that are moving to the big cities, and that was kind of the idea. Um, but it's also seen as a dangerous process because it could elect candidates that are less popular. Well, that's an issue. That's for sure an issue. I've lived in different parts of the country. I understood why Donald Trump was campaigning the way he was. I didn't like it. I made comments about that over and over again, that this is ridiculous, this is crazy, to be using sexist, racist, bigoted terminology and to actually do things, coming across like a thug or a tough guy is not a strategy to use to get votes, but it did help Trump get votes, and I understand that as much as I don't like it. But on the other side of the coin, the Democratic Party was also using a certain kind of psychological persuasion to get votes by making a certain portion of their voting bloc feel that Bernie Sanders had no chance whatsoever. Now, polls you can critique. This is true. Everything is flawed. It's not 100% factual. What it is, it's for the purpose of trying to do the best you can to get a temperature about a certain group of people on a certain issue. Like in the case of the election, there were many, many polls done by mainstream organizations like ABC, Fox, Reuters, CNN, Kinnipack, which was independent, nonprofits and stuff like that. Also, they would do polls and they would put their information up certain places. I liked going to realclearpolitics.com. There consistently you could get a variety of left, center, and right perspectives in the polls to get a temperature about where people are coming from in different parts of the country and nationally. So we do know this is a fact. And what we do know on the rolls, over 40% of the people registered to vote are registered independent, not Democrat and Republican. In other words, the number of people registered independent surpasses the number of people registered Democrat and Republican combined. That's a reality in 2016. The other reality is that being the largest voting bloc, a lot of those people are blue collar, or people even white collar that have lost their jobs. A lot of them are students who understand the crazy student loan debt that they've gotten themselves into to try to get an education. So these people were not happy with business as usual, which you would call establishment status quo. So that is why you had Donald Trump eliminating all those people, over a dozen people that were on the debate stage with him, while on the Democratic side you saw 5 at the most, because the word going around the DNC and their supporters was, we already have our candidate. Keep in mind, assuming before there was even a primary election beginning, we already have our candidate. Now, that's kind of like in the corporate world, where you have a job posting, and because there is an actual real job opening, by law you have to post it out there. Now with the internet you can post the job anywhere, right? So you have people taking time, hours in some cases, to apply for jobs that internally they already know are filled, but by law they have to post the job. That's kind of how it probably felt with a lot of Democrats in the Democratic Party, even progressives. Um, why run? Because they already know who they want to put in that spot of nominee. Now there were a few people, obviously, Martin O'Malley and Bernie Sanders were the two that stayed in there the longest. And Bernie Sanders, of course, being an independent, he just went around the country to talk to people running as a Democratic candidate because he wanted to talk to people. They had no idea that he would nearly win the thing. So we did see some questionable behaviors. Definitely saw blatant coverage given to Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton far more than Bernie Sanders. That can be proved. There were other irregularities that are now called alleged voter suppression and election fraud. So again, the word alleged. That could change too in time if lawsuits that were filed aren't dropped. So it's the craziness of all of this is that it should be understood why a lot of people wouldn't vote for an establishment candidate. It's not necessarily anything sexist or against Secretary Clinton. People just don't like establishment politics and economics. I mean, Bernie Sanders talked about that. Business as usual is not working for millions of people who are underemployed and unemployed, and understandably how jobs get shipped overseas, outsourced because of bad trade deals, which we've had for decades now, and Bill Clinton is part of that process. So it's kind of hard to divorce yourself from that, literally, when you're married to somebody. It kind of goes with the territory. Plus your record as Secretary of State, which was not really comparable to John Kerry up to this point. So there's a lot of different reasons why it kind of made perfect sense, why Bernie Sanders was the populist candidate. That's what the people wanted. There were even many, many polls that I was telling you about earlier, Real Clear Politics, I saw for months and months, maybe a whole year, that were specifically even designed to make some comparisons. And they always showed with the independents, always. I never saw one poll that was other than this. There was variances on it, but they all that I saw, and I saw many, many polls, showed that Bernie Sanders would defeat Donald Trump as far as the independent voting bloc. Again, over 40%, the largest bloc. I didn't see one poll where Clinton would ever beat Trump, but Bernie would beat Trump. So that was clear. I tried to talk to people about that, and there were some people like, no, he's a socialist. People are like, okay, so security, fire, and police departments, libraries, our military, which is half of our federal budget. Nah, those are socialism programs. So socialism, it can't work. It's not a selling point. Well, he's not talking about National Socialism of the 1930s in Europe. He's talking about what actually has worked in that process, not what has failed. So, and then there's denial that capitalism can't fail. So there's a multiplicity of issues here that we do have to discuss. That's why I'm talking like this right now, because as time goes on we have to discuss this. And as far as solutions, which really is my focus, and that's what I'm getting to here, we do have to discuss, I think, doing things democratically ourselves. Now the purpose of these, let's say, protests, people going out to march, okay, let off some steam, just like people getting together to cry, whatever it is, let's be sure that we make it clear that we are adamantly opposed to violence, to racism, to prejudice, to bigotry, to vandalism, to physical harm to other people and things. We're against that, adamantly. But we do need to be understanding of the frustrations of people who don't have a job, find it very difficult to find one, and that's why they don't want status quo, because the trade deals are bad. More jobs will be lost. It will continue to add to the growing income inequality of the less than 1/10 of 1%. as 62 people on the planet have as much wealth now as as of January 2016 as the bottom 50% of the world's population. That's just insane, and that's not going to get better if we don't address the actual issues that are concerning people economically. Then there's the environmental thing. Scientists wholeheartedly agree that this is an issue that needs to be addressed radically. There are places around the world, I should say, that are making greater progress towards creating alternative energy and sustainable energy systems that go along with that. We need to pick up pace here in the United States and get up to speed and start setting an example and going forward. We need to get more people educated, primarily younger people, but anybody who wants to go back to school and has more to contribute to society. There's we need single-payer health care because that would be so much more affordable and higher quality overall. So there's a lot of things to discuss. So these people going out to march, these people getting together to cry, whatever it is that you're doing, connecting online, let's have discussions about how to really create solutions. First, identifying the problems as they are, not as we want to believe they are, and then once we come together, we can discuss that. What are the solutions going forward that we can work on together? I'm going to contribute in part by doing media, professional media, and connecting with people on all levels in society. And then we're going to work on public events to come together and have these discussions. And then together we'll democratically figure out how to do this. So let's discuss this more. And in the meantime, have a great day. Don't freak out. Keep love in your heart and keep your mind open. And stay present in the moment now. Love you all.